I just met the sax player who was in my room. He's a really nice guy named Sean Lyons. And he's a jazz guy, and he's doing a great big gig tomorrow night with some. And he named the names of these musicians, and I was so embarrassed because Al Foster on drums, somebody. Anyway, a jazz club called Smoke, and they're doing this gig, and these guys are like in their 80s, and they played with people like Miles Davis, and they're like great musicians. And I was telling him the story how when I was first working the cruise ships, there was the band on board the Galileo. I think they were Italians because they would work cheap. Anyway, we came to New York. This is 1984, 1985. They grabbed the Village Voice and looked through the listings and saw the Jazz Messengers and these incredibly these people are gods to them, and they couldn't believe that they could go to a club for like $10 and a beer and hear the great. It would be like if the Beatles were appearing around the block. And they would look at me and they would say, "Don't you understand? It's Art Blakey. Art Blakey." And I would look at them and go, and my point is I felt inadequate because I don't know jazz that well. So I don't know the names, and it's kind of embarrassing as a musician. But I did tell him that there was this one time I was in Dallas, and I remember we went to this little club, and we were like in the front row, and there was this saxophone player, and somehow he put an eye on me and started to play, and it was soul-changing. It was so incredible, and yet I never really got into jazz. I never really understood it. You know, it's like I'm a pop guy, so...